Welcome to the What's Next podcast. Today, Mike and Bryan sit down with their good friend and colleague, Kevin Porter. They connect with Kevin and talk about his incredible journey in hockey, bodybuilding, and hear about the life of a first responder as a paramedic and a firefighter. Then ask the question, what's next? So if you're ready, buckle up and let's go.
Welcome to the What's Next podcast. My name is Michael Actus. I'm here with my good buddy, Bryan Stevens.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
It's always good to see you.
Yeah, it is. And again, this is a weekly podcast for us. And the nice thing about it is that, as we've always said, our podcast is about stories connecting one another. And our stories do connect us. It either helps us heal or helps us break down some barriers, but also to our listeners. So maybe somebody out there listening and going, that's my story. And I didn't think anybody else was going through what I'm going through. So it's really nice.
Yeah. And you know what, to touch on that, Mike, it was one of our earlier shows, and a gentleman reached out to you, said he wanted to speak to me about something I said on the podcast. You just called me and you said, this guy wants to talk to you about something you said on the podcast. And I'm like, now I got to answer. And so I reached out to him. He gave you the number, and I contacted him. And it was just a comment that I had made about me just being silent and while I was driving and not listening to music, because that's just the place that I was in. And he was experiencing the exact same thing. And he just wanted to know why. So we had a great conversation, and it was really nice to hear from him. He says he listens to the podcast all the time, and he said he just wanted to reach out and say, hey, say thanks, and he just wanted a clarification on, like I explained to him, for me, it maybe means one thing. For you, maybe it means another. But I said, just being silent like that, don't take it from the aspect of taking that pleasure of music out of your life. Yeah. Because music takes us anywhere. Yeah. Anywhere.
And we talked about that earlier before we got on, so I'm going to talk about how we got onto that conversation. But here's my good longtime friend, Kevin Porter. How are you, Kevin? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, you too, guys.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Man, oh man, this goes back a long ways. But we were talking about music and training, but we'll get to that. But Kevin and I met, I was coaching Kevin when he was 10 years old. And I look at you now thinking, holy mackerel. That was a long friggin' time ago, but you were a very...
Was he a good coach, Kevin?
Actually, to be honest, I'm not playing around. He's been my best coach so far.
Woo! So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think I still have. You remember we used to get the sweatshirts and all the kids used to sign them, and I still have them in a box.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Very cool.
It is very cool.
Actually, do you remember I found an old... remember I sent you something on social media? I think it was on Facebook. You did you wrote out, it was like rules of hockey or how to have fun. I'm going to have to dig it up. And remember I sent that to you.
Yeah, you sent it to me and it was really cool. Yeah. It was one of those things we sent out about, having fun in the game and enjoying the game. And it was our rules. That was pretty cool. Yeah. That was awesome. That was probably one of the first couple of years I started coaching, and it was such an experience and a good experience for me that's what got me on my passion and my drive to coach all the way up to the junior level. But
it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of my first rule in everything I do. It's like, if I'm not having fun doing it, right? Oh, yeah. Like, why are you doing it? And you're never going to evolve. Yeah. Right. If you're not having fun, exactly. Things aren't, hockey practice not supposed to be like hard. You're not supposed to say, oh shit, I don't want to be here. You're supposed to be like bring it on. Like, I want to be here, make it as hard as it can be. And if I fumble at something, I can do it again and again and again, because I'm in practice, and you have to, your mind has to take you to a place where, you're having fun, enjoying it, and you just.
And I think that's one of the things we talked about earlier too. Is a lot of kids at some point, at a young age, they just, I don't want to go to practice tonight. They're dragging their heels to get there. But what you had to do is make sure that you kept them engaged, and when they got there, go, oh, thank God I came tonight, because those are sometimes their best practices. Yeah. You don't feel like practicing. As soon as you step on the ice and you get the heart rate up and momentum going, you're thinking, okay, this is cool, and start challenging each other. And then you're seeing one of your colleagues or one of your other players doing something, going, oh, yeah, okay, I can do that. I can, and you start to get that challenge flowing within you. So it's cool. So yeah, we're going to definitely talk about where your passion has led you, your hockey drive and everything else. But before that, Bryan, actually, you can discuss where you guys met, which is really cool.
Well, we won't talk about that night, but no. Yeah, we're, oh my gosh, Kev, we connected through paramedicine.
Yep.
To start with.
Popeye's Gym.
Popeye's Gym is where it really kicked off.
Really, yeah. So, it was like probably 97, and I saw this guy, and he's really built, and he had a purple and black unitard on with a hip sack.
Yeah, and a lot more hair.
That's a look now, too. That's a look. Actually, the hair.
That's a look.
Actually, his hair's a little
Some
longer.
of the hair's gone at the back.
Actually, it was a little longer.
Yeah.
So with Bryan, and then I got into EMS. I had wanted to become a paramedic and a firefighter for many years. Even growing up as a kid, I'm like, I want to be a hockey player and I want to be a firefighter and a paramedic.
Right.
So when I was 16, I went through all that stuff with my family and my mom and my nana and that, and it had evolved to the point where I was getting accepted into paramedic school, and I knew Bryan was a paramedic. We chatted about him becoming my preceptor, and then when I started school, Bryan left and went for Canadian Helicopters to become critical care. And then he passed me off onto Steve. Steve. Right? Steve.
Roll up your sleeves, Steve.
Great guy. And, but I would always see, Bryan around, and he took me out in the air ambulance one summer and had a pretty fun day. And, it's just kind of.
So you've been a medic for how long?
So since 2001 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
So it is, but it feels like I just got thrown my 2 jackets and 2 pairs of pants at main gate. And then I said, hey, I need a winter coat because it's January. It's an incredible career. It changes every day, every minute. We were just talking about it. I said, he hasn't missed a beat. I mean, I could literally get him a uniform tomorrow, and he'd jump on the truck and he'd be like, oh my goodness, like nothing's changed. Yeah. Like it's scary that way, but it's just like the machine that just keeps on rolling. Yeah. And, fantastic career. I mean, could you have imagined doing anything else?
No.
Right?
No. And you know what? I never had a direction or a passion for that growing up. I actually didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I came out of high school with no real direction, no passion. I was wanted to do something with hockey or sports management, and that's the way I went with things. But it didn't at that time. It didn't really work out. But that just sort of fell into my lap, the whole paramedicine thing, and I'm incredibly grateful for that because. I had a great career, a fun career, and you and I were talking about this that back when you and I were working the trucks together, like we worked 4 14s in a row, 10-hour day shifts, 14-hour night shifts, and we just rocked and rolled, all the time.
Oh, it'd be like 60 hours on a weekend. Like I remember one weekend we did 60 calls. Like actually went now. We used to write down standbys on our shift envelopes and all those other things. But it was code 4s and code 3s and like code 4 is like a lights and sirens, like dire emergency. Well, a lot of the time. But like, 60 calls in 4 nights and just going nonstop and, getting a cardiac arrest call at 8 a.m. when you're supposed to be finishing. Like you're just.
And what area were you in?
Mississauga.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
South Mississauga, but you'd run calls. And so the ambulance services in Ontario are seamless. So what that means is they do call sharing. And so, we would stand by for Halton, for example, at Ford and Royal Windsor and do a call in a Halton, 20 kilometers into, Burlington or like there's no borders. Yeah. So, but that makes it interesting too.
When I was teaching at the college, I used to explain it to the students all the time, but the difference then compared to now, and I'm not saying now is worse or not better or anything like that. It was just a different time, a different place. Yeah. You'd be going into work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night shift. Middle of July, hot summer. Yeah. You were making $12.50 an hour and couldn't wait to get to work. Yeah. Because it was just such a great group of guys and girls. Yeah. And you literally just wanted the world to blow up so that you could just get in there.
That's why you got into that, right?
And it was a passion, just a true passion.
I can still remember some of the, probably one of the craziest calls I had just when I was brand new was with Rolly. And we went to a rollover on the 403. We cleared, I remember this is how crazy I remember it. Sue Thompson showed up, ACP response. We packaged the guy, the eastbound ambulance or the westbound truck. They went to Credit Valley. No. Sorry. They got off at 10 and the police had an escort down to Trillium for this guy. And so Rolly and I cleared, and 5 minutes later, Rolly's like, he's like, I want to go get a sub. Remember Rolly?
Exactly.
That voice? And he'd be having a dart. He'd be like, they're going to take me to Mr. Sub. And I'm like, where the hell's Mr. Sub? I'm from Kitchener. So I'm at like Highway 10 in Robert Speck in Mississauga.
Yeah.
And a car pulls up beside us, and there's a guy laid back, and his shirt's covered in blood. He's been stabbed in the chest. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I just want to get my partner a sub. And we had to literally pull over. We were in 3068. I still remember. And, you know, it was just like chaos. I had to call for help. And, you know, and it was unreal. Like, it's just, things are just so dynamic as they still are.
Yeah, one of the things that Bryan and we were talking about with one of the, Jeff there, the retired police officer in Kitchener, Waterloo region. He was saying he's retired now, so I don't know how long, 25 years maybe he was on the force?
Yeah.
And saying that there's 25 years ago and today is the same amount of police officers on the road in Waterloo region as there was when he was hired.
Really?
Yet the population is what?
Oh,
At least, even know how big. I don't even know how it's growing. But that's it. And I'm thinking that's frightening to know that there's we haven't increased our manpower. And I don't know what it's like for you guys down in Mississauga. Mississauga itself, Halton, that whole area is growing like it's exploding.
Yeah. I mean, those numbers are certainly unsustainable. There's no question.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to, you know, we have so many recruits, and, you know, I'm sure it's the same on the police side, right? Where people are graduating or even qualified to do that job, because you can't just go to school. It doesn't automatically mean you're getting in, right? There's a battery of tests you got to pass. And the same thing with paramedicine and the fire department. Just because you go to school for it doesn't mean you are ready to do that job, either physically or mentally. So yeah, they're you know, there's a process to get hired, and the regions and the funding, everything. Like, it just seems like you can't grow fast enough.
Yeah.
Right. So
no, and you know, back then the call volume was steady. There was times that it was just crazy busy, but it was steady. The difference now, because I've been out of the, you know, the frontline work for almost 5 years now, but you and I were talking earlier before we went live with this thing that, like, it's just busy now all the time. Like, you walk in the station, the tones are going off, and away you go.
It seems like, I mean, over COVID, it got a little slow, but now it's just, you know, because a lot of people didn't seek proper medical care during COVID, things have caught up, and then, you know, there's burnout. Like, nurses are burnt out, doctors are burnt out. Anyone that works in the hospital, they're tapped out. You know, a lot of medics are tapped out. It's been a challenging, you know, just because a virus comes through the world doesn't mean all the other things stop.
No, exactly.
Right? They might have slowed down a wee bit just by virtue of people not going anywhere, but they still, it's still pretty frantic pace. And what you're saying before with regards to call volume, you know, if you have this many trucks and this many calls, it's almost the same now, because you have more calls with the same allotment of vehicles. Like, it's kind of even. So we're running lean a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of services on Ontario and Canada.
Yeah. And you know what, as you and I were talking about, not that the general public needs or has to know this. I think it's important for them to understand, because maybe they would be a little bit more empathic to what's going on with our medics right now, because I know in the region of Waterloo, like, our guys and girls, they just rock and roll all day, all night, and literally they don't have assigned stations like we had back then. They just report to their north or south station, and then out they go. And if they get a chance to roll by a station for a half hour, 20 minutes, that's cool. But most of the time, like, they're just literally going. And, you know, and it's a bit of a tough thing. So, you know, say you're doing a big involved call with a bad trauma call where there's lots going on, or a shooting or a stabbing, and then, you know, they're turning around right after that and going to look after a nice little old lady that, you know, needs to go because she fractured her hip. And it's a constant roller coaster of emotions. And it's something that, you know, by the time the shift is over, because as you'll remember, like, we used to get together after shift. And we go for dinner, and sometimes there was a beverage involved there too, but I won't say too many, but, you know, we got together after shift. The medics now, I know in the at least in the region of Waterloo, like they're done. They're tired. They got to go home. They need that alone time, and I think that's just where it's changed. It's so I think if the general public really understood the roller coaster of emotions and physicality that these guys and girls do on a shift, it's massive.
Yeah, it's crazy. And some of my hardest calls of all time have been like, I've only had like 1 or 2 calls throughout that shift, and that call might have happened early in the morning or midday, and then you're taken out of service, right? So sometimes you could do 5, 6, 7, 8 calls a day, and other times you do one real doozy. Right. And then, that's all your mind can take for the day. But,
well, that was one of the points I was made too, is, you look at it now as, like I said, so many things with COVID, a lot of kids didn't go finish school and things like that. So not as many going through for different things like trades and as well as professions like you're in. So of course there's not enough bodies coming in to fill it. And that's the problem with nursing right now. There's just not enough went through, but so now you're short staffed and, they're going, a lot of your colleagues are going through some mental issues because of all these things going on.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that now? You make this call and there's no downtime for you to kind of wrap your head around what you just went through. Like you said, you might get that one call and they say, wow, I'm done for the day.
Well,
how do you deal with that?
We do have debriefings, right? And, we'll either bring it up to a supervisor. If a supervisor's on scene, we'll have a debriefing. We'll be taken out of service. Right. With the fire department, the same thing. We'll have a little powwow, taken out of service, chat about things. But like it all depends. The call that I was telling you about that Jody and I went to, we didn't have anything after it. Right. Like we didn't have a debriefing or chat. Like him and I chatted about it.
Yeah.
And then we just, I think we had about an hour left in our shift, and it's like, all right, peace out. I'm out. Like, we're going home. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know if it's just different levels of resiliency that some people have. And, but certain things can break even the most resilient person at a time if you don't have the resources.
Yeah.
Right. Or have people to talk to or an outlet. Right. So, i.e. exercise, like someone to talk to at home, music, a place to go, for example, right. To chat with, fellow responders, or just a good ear to talk to.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's where I was going to go with that, is because like we've talked several times on this show where some people, they, for their release, going through some mental health issues, they're sitting in silence, but maybe it's music that gets them going.
Yeah.
For Bryan and I, it was the gym. And for you, it's also the gym.
For sure.
It's where you go to release and put the headset on, put the earbuds in, whatever, and just get there and get out of that space you're in and try to bring yourself back to, your happy place.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not easy for everybody.
No. And you know what, Kevin, I throughout my career, I didn't even realize, like I was a gym rat, I was a rink rat. That was my passion, right? Yeah. But I didn't realize until I went through the therapy that I did, that how much that gym in the arena really put me in a much better place. Because when I went to the gym, it was a good time.
Yeah.
And you went the same time every day because you knew that your buddies were going to be there.
Exactly. And it was just a great group of people there. And like, lots of people said like, oh, how many days a week do you train? And it's like, well, no, don't ask me such a dumb question. I understand it's a question because you want me to give you an answer that it's 2, 3, 4, 5 days, but it's not. It's like, maybe this week it's 7.
Yeah.
Maybe next week it's 2. I just don't know.
It all depends on.
It just depends.
Yeah. It's so dynamic. Yeah.
It needs to be a lifestyle. But where I was going with it is I didn't even realize how it kept me in a good place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you transitioned from EMS to fire.
Well, only as a full timer.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of full time EMS in the amount that I work. So yeah. He's going to hammer me on the fire stuff. Any chance he can get.
I am.
Sorry, I just going to say.
That's okay. I expect nothing less.
No.
But no, I transitioned in 2003 to become a firefighter. And it's been great. I mean, we're on the 24. We switched from the 10 and 14s years ago, and it's much better for, physical and mental well-being. But I still love being a paramedic, and, I still rock and roll on the ambo every chance I get almost, right? I'm kind of a workaholic. I don't take many days off. I I was off today, but I came off shift this morning, right from the fire hall, and went right to the rink, trained, and some run around to do, some chiro, some massage. Came home, did some work at home, and got ready and came here. So
wow,
but
as a firefighter, you must be a pretty good cook. Sorry.
Oh, see? Just give it back.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just give it right back.
Yeah, we sometimes get time to cook, but I mean, I work downtown Brampton too, so we're pretty steady sometimes. And
you're going for a sub,
like and even at that, I try like with my nutrition and stuff, and I got a wicked sweet tooth. The guys I work with all know that. Yeah, but I try to balance everything out with training. And, we try to eat pretty good. The culture's changed a lot in the fire service where we're not eating, a lot of guys and girls are not eating the amounts we used to and eating less and trying to make wiser choices with food. That's still challenging at EMS because you're on the run. Sometimes
I think that's where
sometimes I don't get a meal break at work.
Because they know how you train. And I was just going to say, that's why I was kidding because the cook thing, because Brian always says, oh yeah, they always get a good meal. They don't take turns cooking. But it's one of those things where, you watch your diet very closely because you train very hard. Yeah. And I wanted to get into that is because not only are you still training in hockey and the skills of the game and everything else, but also knowing that you're doing some martial arts now too.
Yeah, so that came in. So, I mean, like when I got out of competitive bodybuilding years ago and, I was a big galoot, I had to slim down for hockey and start training in a different fashion totally, right? To become more flexible, to become more explosive, just train in a different way. We started doing Firefighter Combat Challenge back in 99. So that was a great condition for my hockey. Got into Muay Thai. Probably it's been about 9 or 10 years now. And it's fantastic. I do that twice a week. At times it was 3 times a week over the pandemic because things were closed, right? I was able to still train though, fortunately, nice. And keep up my cardio and strength and everything else. But it's a wonderful, Muay Thai. I love it. I think if I wasn't a hockey guy, it would be, cage for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's the 10-year-old I remember back in minor hockey.
That's where my head goes.
Need to cage him up.
I remember my dad bought me the one-piece coho so you couldn't break it. The 150 flex coho.
But I wanted to touch base on that too, because let's talk about the hockey. I mean, I follow you, again, we talked about social media, and one of the things that I really love that you do share with us is your passion for hockey. And you're still, I'm gonna let everybody know, how old are you now?
Only 47.
47.
It's just the number.
And exactly, but the thing is, it's very cool is that it's something that you're very passionate about and you still train very hard. It's not just playing pickup hockey. You are doing far more than just playing men's pickup hockey. Like you're renting.
Well, right this second, there's not a lot of pickup hockey. There's scrimmaging with the guys I train with in the summer, but I'm pretty committed to it. So
how much time do you spend in the rink in a week?
4 hours, man. Like a session's an hour, but 60, 70 minutes.
Wow.
4 days a week.
And what I love more than anything is from my, like I say, our hockey background is I love that you're working on the skill of the game instead of, like I said, X's and O's, as Brian and I always say. You can put X's and O's on a board and it's they know where to go. Okay, I go here, and if it goes here, then I go here. But I love that you're working on the actual skill of the game. I watch some of the talent you show on some of your shots or on your videos, and it's just absolutely brilliant. So I'm very proud of what you're doing. It's very cool.
It's I appreciate that, Mike. I love the game, and the game's evolved so much, right? Like we have there's so many resources now, right? So there's I belong to a couple hockey. Not belong to podcasts, but subscribe to a site where it's one of the skills coaches for the Leafs and watching podcasts. Well, I'll admit I'm behind 1 or 2 just because I've been so crazy with work, but study the game, right? So it's okay to do the drills and skills, but where do you apply that drill and skill in the game, right? How do you play without the puck? Because most of the game, you don't have the puck. So when you do touch the puck, don't degrade the play, make something good happen. Right. And then of course, now, like I was saying before, all the resources, I've been working with skating coach. I used to work with a shooting coach, right? You have a skills coach, and I train with a guy that used to play in the NHL for the Chicago Blackhawks, Matt Carey. He takes me through different things. My buddy Eddie, used to play Division I Ohio State. He takes me through. We combine on a lot of drills, and we come up with all kinds of crazy game situational drills. So that's what makes it fun and stimulating, and it's such a rush being out there that when you do get into a game, it's like instantaneously I can apply something. Oh yeah, we did that. Okay, I'm going to try that right now. Like you go on autopilot. And it's pretty amazing when you train with such a wide array of people, and I'm fortunate to have that.
Yeah.
What you can kind of pull out of your hat. So
we're just in case people don't know or say they're not following you, like, where did you go with the game? Like, how far did you go with the game?
Well, so far, as far as playing, I was playing in Sweden, Division III. I came home, and then I was offered a tryout with Rapid City Rush, East Coast Hockey League. Yep. They're with Arizona Coyotes now. Actually, there's a new affiliation coming. But and then it was a couple games in the Federal Hockey League, and then COVID hit.
Right.
So here we are. And last year I spoke with the team in the SPHL. They weren't able to get visas for guys out of the States last year. So, it was a little challenging. I was supposed to go to Russia in April, and then we all saw what happened with Russia. So that, life happens. Yeah. Those are things I can't control, but what I can control is my training, my rest, my diet, my study of the game, right? Picking up things, in my drive.
Yeah.
Right.
But so you were already a pretty disciplined guy, like diet-wise. You were disciplined from the bodybuilding.
From the bodybuilding, the gym.
Right?
Yeah, and then
different type of diet.
A different type, but it's still, you just go on autopilot. You know, this is what I need to eat to be this way, right? That's what I need to do to be good at the Firefighter Combat Challenge, and that's what I need to do to be good at hockey, or whatever. To be a paramedic, you got to study once in a while. You can't just, things evolve all the time. You need to read, you need to study, you need to reevaluate what you're doing. If it's not working, try something else.
Mike and I talk about this all the time, that, we literally came from the coaching area that's like dinosaur, like hockey now compared. Like, the game has just evolved so much.
Oh yeah.
You look at guys like Connor McDavid. You look at where the game is so quick. It's split second, rapid decisions. The game's evolved tremendously. So either you evolve with it, or else.
Yep.
And I think that's what's so cool is, like I said, and I wanted people to hear, because there's probably some listeners out there that are going to listen at your age, that you're still working on the skills of the game. You're skating and the effectiveness of the speed of the game. So you got to be a stronger skater. You're working on the skills of the game, your hands, your eye coordination, all those things, and different angles in games and stuff. It's when you have a passion for something, don't ever think that you're too old to play this game. It is a great game. It's a great game that you have to continue to work at, though, to be able to compete, especially at the level you want to compete at. So what's next? What do you want to do now? I mean, COVID's over, and who knows where we're all going to go with everything. But
well, to me, and I say this in the most. Are
the Leafs calling?
What's that?
Are the Leafs calling? Not yet.
I know
they're making changes.
Every team makes changes, right? So you know what? I just continue to work hard, and just never know what can happen, right? So with anything you do in life, it doesn't have to be hockey. It could be any sport, any endeavor, music, right? Whatever your passion is, that's what I tell people. So, I just I have an ultimate goal, but I have to work every day, every minute, and never lose sight of it. And like, I look at myself as an underdog. I mean, I have nothing to lose.
100%.
I don't need to make money. Well, it would be nice, but I don't need to make.
Well, I'm not going to be your agent.
To me, the money is not like a motivating factor. It's an unrelenting. I mean, I could literally close my eyes and remember getting slashed as a kid trying to make the green shirts in Kitchener. Yeah. I can close my eyes and remember. This is going to sound sad, but standing over my mom's casket, right, and seeing that vision in my head, and I'm able to look at things that have happened to me in my life and like dig them up, right, fuel me, and then, carry on to do something constructive for the most part. I've done a few things my mom wouldn't be proud of, but sorry, Mom.
Yeah,
but,
we can all look at each other.
So I think that's what drives me a lot, and a lot of unfinished business, and just kind of like, well, what do I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I train in the morning after work, and I've said this on many podcasts. Guys are going to hear this and say, oh, that again, but I train tired in the morning. Yep. So what drives you? Well, yeah, I'm tired. I'm not fully rested, but what drives me is, like a passion for the game, like a will to want to be better. Mm-hmm. You're tired in June in the playoffs. When guys are playing in the playoffs in a hot building, you're tired.
Yeah.
You take a long, tiring bus ride or a plane ride or bouncing back and forth. Like, so I always say just no excuses, just results, and just do it. And like, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
I actually to be honest, I think I'm a bit of a training sadist, especially when it comes to hockey. The more tired I am, like I could be at a fire for like 20 hours of my shift. And if I have a skate booked in the morning, I'll still go and I'll push myself to see what I can get out of it. Do I have to change some drills? Yeah, maybe. We won't be able to do everything that I thought I was going to, had out of my practice plan, but I will do stuff. I will come out of that practice session, happy that I was there and trying to do something. So.
Well, I say that to people around Frontline all the time, that I think some of the best times to train, exactly what you're saying, is when you're tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you come in when you're tired and you really don't want to be there and you haven't eaten properly, you haven't got the rest, and you're just bored or whatever the excuse that you can come up with. But if you come in on that day and train then, and accomplish whatever you accomplish, just think what you can do when you have the proper rest, the proper mindset.
Well, absolutely.
Just think. So, and that's what I say to people. You'll see people going around. It's like, oh man, I just come off shift. I'm just dead tired, and it's like, good for you. I'm glad that you're here, because you're going to prove to yourself just exactly what you are capable of.
But that's the thing. As soon as you put your foot in that gym, the mindset changes.
It does.
And it's the thing that we did when we used to train together. We knew we were going to be at the gym every afternoon at 2:00.
Yep.
And if you didn't show up, you knew the next day you were going to get jazzed. Where were you? I hope you were away on vacation or something. Yeah. But don't say you're tired, because we all train tired. That's cool. And I love the fact you said you've got a bigger goal. And you don't have to share that goal. But I mean, I love the fact, because I truly believe that we all need to have a goal. And what we need to do is understand that if, what path we're going to take to get to that goal. And sometimes we get pulled away from that path, but it's being able to focus again to bring ourselves back.
Yeah.
That is that's huge. A lot of people don't have a goal. They get up every day, they go do their job, they come home, they do their thing, and that's it. And the next day is all over again. I'm thinking, really, you really got to have a passion.
Yeah.
And you've got, like I say, I love watching the passion that you have for the game. You were probably the one that I coached, one of the young guys that I coached, that still has this real passion. You always had that in you when you were playing. I mean, it was like I said, when you talked about caging, and let's put a cage on him. He's going to take that guy. He's going to take that guy. He's going to take that guy. But it's
style.
Yeah, but it was absolutely brilliant to watch you come to the game when you're 10 years old, loving the game that you played, and now you're still doing it. And I truly believe that I don't know what your goal is, but I think you can really make an impact on a lot of young lives.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what's going to happen this fall. Yeah. I've had a few conversations with some teams, and I'm ready to go. Mm-hmm. So, I just owe it to myself to believe in myself, believe in my abilities, and the way I look at it, I say if I can come off a shift and train and kind of evolve and have fun and be doing things, there's no way I can't do that in a game for 6-7 minutes a period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to go out and play 100%. If my coach likes me and I don't, take him 2-minute shifts, and I go out and skate hard, tick of the puck, and try to make a play in a 45 to 50 second shift and get off and just contribute as much as you can in those 45, 50 seconds. Like this morning, the kids were taking 2-minute shifts. So my buddy Jim, if you got caught taking a 2-minute shift, it was a 5-minute major. Absolutely. So that kid sits in the bench.
Absolutely.
He sits in the bin for 5 minutes. Yeah. Well, now you've enraged me, because now it's 5-on-4 and I'm not getting out there. Right. So just having that type of discipline, training, so when it comes to a game, it's like, you want me to go hit guys for 40 seconds? Let's do it, right? Or let's play good D for 45 seconds. And,
and I'm sure you've done 100 of them, but like doing battle drills at practice.
Yeah.
And just say, it doesn't matter when you come up to the front line, it doesn't matter who you're pairing off against. Could be the biggest guy in the team, could be the smallest, whatever. For the next 30, 40 seconds, it's just balls to the wall. All out, go.
Yeah. I don't like you for 40 seconds.
I don't like you for the next 40 seconds.
Yeah. It's funny all the time.
We did that all the time.
Yeah.
Watching hockey all the time, you know, NHL, and I used to always say when we were watching Boston play it, and I hope he's listening, but Chara, throw it in Chara's corner. I want to go make that big prick try to move left or right because he's so big. Can he move left and right as quick as I can? I'm going in and I'm going to gnaw on his ankles and his knees, but throw it in Chara. And they'd say, are you kidding? Look at the size of that guy. Why would you do that? No, throw it in Chara's corner. I want him. I'm going after him. No, I'm going to be a little pest.
I love it. Yeah. I love that whole mentality.
Yeah,
because I think it comes down to that one word. You know, when I was coaching at the U18 major midget AAA and at the junior B level, I used to tell the guys all at the start of the year, I go, the number one, and we painted it on the dressing room wall, the word was accountability.
Yep.
Be accountable every shift. It's only 30 seconds. Make it the hardest 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and just go. Whatever you need to do to get the job done.
Exactly.
Well, I agree. I like hitting, and the game today. So I was playing to the Aurora Tigers, so the OJ kids, and you know some of them are 18, 19, 20, and we played two 20 minutes after practice, stop time, and I started to hit the kids because just not hit them hard, but like that's my game, and well, if you're 18, you could play pro hockey, so. I'm hitting you.
Exactly.
Right. And I didn't hit them hard, but like I would rub them out on the boards and I couldn't help myself. Not to be an asshole, but I was like, okay, I want to make this kid
part of the game.
You have to know him on the ice.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have the wrong color jersey on and
that puck's ours.
And he hadn't even said anything to me. I just,
it doesn't matter.
He had a cage on. I'm like, he's not going to get hurt if I ram his face into the glass a little bit.
Right.
Right. He's okay. But I like that stuff. I like the rough stuff. So it's part of the game. And I think as much as we've kind of sometimes gotten away from as much phicality, it comes right back in the playoffs.
Yep.
With a vengeance.
Absolutely.
With a vengeance.
Yeah. The whole game changes.
Right. So.
And again, I love the fact that you're doing that. What they've got to do is they got to learn at 18, and you're going up against them. You're going to take their space away, and taking their space away means friggin' hitting them.
Yeah.
So you know what? Get used to it because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless you get your feet moving a little quicker than I can, but I've watched you skate. You got some good.
So you still enjoy the game of hockey with same passion, same drive today from 10 years old. Do you still enjoy paramedicine like you did from day one?
I still do. Yeah.
Awesome.
I still love it. Like it's crazy. And even when I'm at the fire hall, like we do so many medical calls, right? So I'm always using that knowledge.
Right.
And like I said, like in the past month or two, like I've probably bagged like in the last, let's just say the last year, probably like 20, 25 people bagged them with, opiate overdoses. And it's mind numbing. I mean, the amount of calls we do sometimes and that knowledge I can draw on from EMS and apply it obviously as a paramedic and as a firefighter. And it's, they're fun careers. To me, it's more than a job, right?
Oh, it has to be.
But my passion, my ultimate passion is hockey. And it's, at some point I will be transitioning out of EMS and fire and into the hockey world full time. So
awesome.
But
keep us in the loop, man.
We're just working away right now.
I love it.
So.
Absolutely love it.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's been fun catching up. It's been fun seeing you again.
Absolutely.
We sort of stay in touch for a while and then we drift apart and then we get back together again.
It's I just saw you.
I think the last time I seen you was at the Leaf game.
No, I saw you at the Real Sports.
That's it.
I saw you at the Real Sports. That's right. That's when your hair was longer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And
I saw this wedge of a man. This wedge of a man standing there with
Did he have on the spandex with the pouch?
I think he had the pouch on, but it was in the winter, so I think he had a pair of tight lees on.
One of these times, Stephen, we're going to just have to throw a picture up of Bryan in these tights.
Sure.
And the Atomics weightlifting shoes, the bodybuilding Atomics.
Exactly.
And they were like 20 years old. I believe it.
I think he's like a size 7.
That's pushing it. That's because that's the smallest they came.
Yeah, that's right.
His size footer and the size 7 shoes. Yeah. Oh shoot! Well, thanks for being with us, buddy. This was great. I mean, that's the beauty of this show is we get a chance to catch up and hear some stories that people are going to say, "Wow!" But I truly believe that somebody's listening and saying, "You know what? Don't ever give up on your passion. Don't ever give up on your goals because it's man, you wake up every day going, what's next?"
And just something I'll add in just before we wrap up. You know, like I really appreciate what you guys do with Frontline and all that work, and it's super important. You know, the mental health thing. It's true. It's a real thing, right? For years, it was kind of like swept. I don't even want to say swept under the rug, but I don't think we recognized what it was doing to people, and I think it's super important. And thank you guys for stepping up to the plate and, and dealing with that. And
yeah, and you know what? That's strictly Frontline. Just is there because of what I went through, what I know works, and what works for me doesn't work for you.
Exactly.
But you'll figure it out. All you got to do is just come to that place because it's a pretty special place, and then figure out what's right for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
But at least we have a space. Like I said, we're not the big box gyms. We're not all the rest of it, but we're a space for us primarily to come and be together and just
safe environment.
Safe environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Non-judgmental, safe environment. Yeah, it's cool.
Anyways, it's been a lot of fun.
Good times.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. We'll do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to see where the next step is. We'll wait till after September, and if you need me to negotiate your contract, let me know. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I just want to play. Thanks for hanging out with us again on the What's Next podcast, and appreciate you being here. And don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to answer any questions and maybe guide you in the right direction to somebody that can answer your questions. But thanks again, Bryan.
Okay. Peace.
We're out of here.
See ya.